They have these artisan, confined feeding things, and they do the massage and the this and that and the A5, but it's still not healthy. It tastes great, don't get me wrong. I do like the taste of a grain finished animal, but I believe that we can get the genetics and the finishing down on the grass-fed side of things to equal the eating quality of grain finished.
That'd be amazing. All right, guys, we got Kevin from Perennial Pastures here today. We're going to talk cows and we're going to talk soil. Thanks for coming on, man.
Let's do it. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So I ordered my first cow from you.
Yeah.
It's been a fun experience, man.
Yeah.
60 pounds of meat showed up to my door. It took us a couple hours to get it all like situated in the freezer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Bulk beef's really blowing up these days for folks that, want to order and get a good discount, and get food sovereignty for their family. And it's just a huge trend right now. We're seeing a big uptick in interest in bulk beef. So honored to have you as a customer.
Yeah, dude. It's a win-win situation because like you said, you save on the price.
Yeah.
Like a lot of money.
Yeah, totally.
Because I order food a lot. So I'm spending, a quarter cow is $2,000. I'm spending $2,000 a month just ordering food.
Yeah, totally.
And then secondarily, the health aspects.
Yeah.
Your stuff's grass-fed, pasture-raised, right?
Yeah, for sure. Grass-fed, pasture-raised, regenerative. So we have a regenerative certification through Regenerative is one of our big deals that we have. Really great certification. It's pretty new to the market. The Regenerative certification. There's only 3 big certifications that are out there right now. And it's a huge trend, really, regenerative agriculture. It's a beautiful movement when you really can come back to the soil, to the nutrient density of the food.
Yeah.
There's something special about that connection to the land.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So what qualifies the regenerative labels? What do you need to do for that?
Really, the definition of regenerative agriculture, is really mimicking nature with your agricultural practices. What we try to do is mimic how the bison and buffalo used to move across the grassland plains for thousands and thousands of years. That dung and urination effect and that constant moving is really what's created the world's deepest soils. You look across the Midwest where, it's a breadbasket of the U.S. and the animal impact that the bison created during that time frame is what has created like 4 feet deep worth of topsoil, right?
Man.
Yeah, you in some areas in the Midwest, you can even get deeper than that, right?
Holy crap.
Yeah, I've taken soil cores on some of the most advanced farms in the country. You might have heard of Gabe Brown. He's one of the big regenerative ranchers in the country. I had the privilege to go to his ranch and take 4 foot deep soil cores across his whole property, and we weren't even going deep enough to see the soil A horizon, right?
Damn.
Yeah, and so the guy who was there doing the monitoring was kicking himself that he didn't get a deeper soil core because we're really starting to measure this stuff now to a high level, and so we really don't know what the possibilities are. To be frank, nature is perfect in its design. God has designed nature in a way that, again, it's perfect. And so we're just at the early stages of the regenerative movement, figuring out how to get the genetics right, how to get the grazing right. It's really only been around for about 40 years.
Wow.
Some of these pioneers who put together a lot of different things to kind of come up with what we now call regenerative agriculture. But there's so many different things involved with it, like permaculture. Organic was kind of early on that. There's so many things when you talk about regenerative and a lot of different definitions. But again, to bring it back, Sean, at its core, it's mimicking nature to produce food with less inputs, more outputs, and have nutrient density really at the forefront of all that. Yeah.
Right, because a traditional farm is contained, right? They're containing the cows in a certain area.
Well, all ranches start out on grass. So even conventional ranches start out on grass. That's the beauty of beef, actually. Is that the animals do start out on grass, whereas conventional chicken and pig farms, they spend their whole life in a barn. So the beauty of beef is even conventional animals start out on grass. That nutrient density is in the grass, and that'll correlate to the end product, even if it goes through a feedlot. So that's what most of the beef in our country today and is
Long work weeks and busy weekends can leave you feeling and looking depleted. That's where Prolon comes in. Their 5-day fasting mimicking diet is backed by science and works at the cellular level to rejuvenate your body from the inside out. And now Prolon is leveling up with the all-new next-gen 5-day program, offering cleaner ingredients, better flavor, and even more convenience. Their plant-based program features ready-to-eat soups, snacks, and teas that nourish your body while keeping it at a fasting state, activating powerful cellular repair and renewal. I did the 5-day program and I felt so much better. Now I can't wait to try Prolon Next Gen and keep the momentum going. Right now, Prolon is giving Digital Social Hour listeners 15% off site-wide, plus $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Go to prolonlife.com/DSH. That's PROLONLIFE.com/DSH to claim your offer today.
is how it's produced, is in a feedlot or finished in a feedlot.
Got it.
So CAFO, you've probably heard the term CAFO, confined animal feeding operation. That's what that is. You know, they confine them in a small area, feed them grain, fatten them up very quick. The nutrient density levels considerably drop when they're in a feedlot.
Really?
Like that,
Is that because of the grain-fed food they're getting?
Yes, correct. Yeah, the cow's an herbivore. It's meant to eat forage. When you pump it full of grains, it makes the rumen acidic. It can no longer break down the nutrients as well as it can, and it gets sick. And so you have to give it antibiotics. Antibiotics are big in the confined animal feeding operations because it's not natural. You know, they're meant to be out roaming the pastures, out on grass, and living the right life, you know. And we've kind of broken that cycle though too by just having the animals out in pasture. There is such a thing as just kind of conventional rotational grazing, where they're outside moving around, but not in a high density mechanism. The key to regenerative ranching and grazing is having high density, short duration periods where they knock the grass down, they pee and poop in one area. That stimulates the grass to grow, and given enough time to recover, that pulsing eating and then the recovery in the deep soil part, that's really what's building the soil. So that's how there's kind of 3 different ways to graze. There's of ranching. There's kind of the conventional way where they just set the cows out in the pasture. They graze in that area for the whole year, or maybe they loosely rotate. So maybe they have like 7 pastures, but there's really no density to it. So you're overgrazing some plants and over-resting other plants. That's 99% of the ranches and farms in the country today. When you move to the regenerative side, you're starting to get tighter grazing, and you're moving more frequently throughout the day. So you're harvesting more material. You're harvesting, evenly across the pasture, which doesn't give preference to some grasses over others.
Yeah.
If the cows have the choice, they're going to go back to that ice cream plant, over and over again. That's the overgrazing. Overgrazing is a function of time. So when you go back to that plant over and over again, it's going to die. And then you have less desirable plants in that pasture over time as you overgraze the good ones and overrest the other ones.
Interesting.
That's kind of a key function of
like a balance of where you're putting them and when.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the soil quality, right, is the lowest it's been apparently.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's really great studies on all the nutrient density levels declining in food. So you can even eat a pretty healthy diet, and if it's not from a regenerative operation, whether it's vegetable or grains or what have you, you're really not going to get those nutrients transferred into the food. The biology of the soil is what makes the minerals available to the plant. And then the plant obviously gets consumed by the animal. We consume the animal, and then we ourselves can become nutrient dense. So that's what we like to really talk about these days, is the nutrient density. So, and it's really hard to find these days. That's, what we at Perennial Pastures are trying to do, is make this nutrient dense food available to folks, make it easy. It's really hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, people have all these diets that they're trying to chase, whether it's carnivore or organic or, whole food or keto, whatever the diet is. But if nutrient density is not at the foundation of that, you're really not optimizing whatever diet that you're on. If you're eating, strictly meat, why not eat nutrient dense meat? if you can, right?
Yeah.
So find a regenerative rancher, and that's what we're doing. Again, is aggregating from a bunch of different regenerative ranchers in the West to make these products more available, easy to buy, right? You got your bulk beef shipped straight to your door,
Yep.
from us in San Diego, right? So,
I got the meat side covered. So
yeah.
when it comes to vegetables, because I shop at Whole Foods and Sprouts, which are like considered one of the top stores, what are the chances they use regenerative vegetables and fruits in those stores?
It's a good question. I think Whole Foods is definitely making a big push to regenerative foods in general. They see it and have marked in a bunch of different articles as the #1 trend in food today.
Wow.
At the same time, regenerative is very early on in its life cycle, right? So to get into these grocery stores, you really have to be of a certain scale to make it.
Right, because they're serving so many people.
Exactly, yeah.
So regenerative farms probably aren't big enough yet to order at grocery stores.
Probably not yet, but they're growing. And it is more of a profitable way to farm and ranch. So I believe that the long-term macroeconomics are going to work out in favor.
It's more profitable?
It's more profitable.
Oh, wow. I thought it'd be less.
No, it's more profitable because when you work with the soil and you build your soil up, you're going to have less inputs that you have to put in, whether those are fertilizers or chemicals or whatever you're doing, right? Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's the beauty of the economic side of things as well. And what we're trying to do too with our company is show that to our investor base, other investors that we're looking to recruit. We want to scale. We're really building a supply chain, Sean, is what we're doing, and it's hard because there's not a ton of supply of it right now. So we're having to work with Regenified, which is our certification group, to go out and source those ranches, right? And so at this, again, but that's tough work, right? It's tough work to go and find these folks. They're having a tough time sourcing cattle for us right now.
Really?
Yeah. And we produce some of our own cows. We're ranching on 16,000 acres in San Diego County. We recently lost one lease, one 8,000 acre lease. So we're going to kind of pare back on the beef side and work with our aggregation network to bring beef to the people.
Did China buy that lease?
It's an interesting story, actually. It was on water district property, which there's over 2,000 water districts in California. It's the folks that bring you your water to your house. Yeah. And I was telling them all these beautiful stories of the water cycle. And hey, when we, can increase soil organic matter by 1%, we can store an extra 23,000 gallons of water per acre in the soil, right? And nobody's talking about this in California, right? All of these conversations around turn the water on, and bring it down. Well, how do we keep the water that falls there, right? If you can actually store the water in the soil, the aquifers are going to get recharged, the springs are going to come back, and we're going to rehydrate California, right?
Wow.
So I'm all for getting water to the farmers, but if the farmers are not practicing regenerative agriculture, and if you've ever been to the Central Valley in California, you're going to think it's Mordor from Lord of the Rings.
Damn, it's not dry?
It's dry. Like there's dust in the air.
That's where all the fruit grows, right?
That's where all the fruit trees grow. Like I think 80% of the world's almonds, a ton of nut crops, a ton of veggies. So we have to get that right in California before we just say, hey, let's send the water. Because we can send it to the farmers and the ranchers, but if not, they're not doing their job making it sure that it stays in the soil. If you have bare soil, 80% of that evaporates back up into the atmosphere.
Wow.
And what a lot of people are not talking about too with, whatever you want to call it, climate change, climate weirding, I think it's definitely been co-opted by the left to push their agenda.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we have a soil health crisis, right?
100%.
And water vapor in the atmosphere is actually the #1 driver for that. Everyone's talking about carbon. It's actually water vapor. So water from rainfall hitting the ground, going back up into the atmosphere and not staying in the soil. If we could build in-soil reservoirs through our farming practices, we wouldn't have to have all these storage dams, right? And that's another big conversation in California too, is all of the dam and infrastructure. We passed this bill in California for this bond to build more infrastructure. And I believe it has to get into the common language that we actually need soil infrastructure. If we had 4 feet deep topsoil in California, it would stay there, not go back up into the atmosphere, and there'd be much more of it. It wouldn't go out to the oceans, like it currently is.
Damn, I did not know that. So I wonder if farming played a role in the like how you guys didn't have enough water in the fire hydrants.
Yeah, potentially. A lot of our water comes from Northern California through the aqueduct, and then from the Colorado River. So in Southern California, we get 80% from those two sources. The better we do with watershed management and in-soil reservoir management, the more the whole state is going to have, right?
Yeah.
The more Northern California is going to be able to send that down to us, right? So I would love for that, and that's the great thing about coming on podcasts such as yours. You have this massive audience, and you got Grant coming on here. He's a big force in California. If we can get this, into the local lexicon, I think it becomes an amazing story because it's supporting farmers, it's supporting regeneration, it's supporting nutrient density, it's supporting water in California. Oh, by the way, we can use livestock to mitigate the fire risk as well. So,
really?
Oh yeah, get goats and sheep up in those hillsides. I'm from Southern California. Originally I was born in LA.
Yeah,
I'm a first generation rancher. Went to school in downtown LA, played baseball, grew up, playing baseball in Southern California. And I'm very familiar with that whole situation. My uncle was on the front lines. He's a captain with the LA County Fire Department.
Oh, wow.
And I believe it or not, I think he was the firefighter pictured with a fire hose putting out fires at Grant's house.
Wait, what?
At Grant's house, yeah.
Small world.
I think his wife posted a photo.
That's the only house that survived on that street.
Okay, yeah. So maybe he was part of that effort.
Oh, shout out to him.
Yeah, that'd be great. But we talk all the time because he's a rancher too. He's got 40 acres in Central California, and we're like, we need more livestock in those hills, reducing the fuel load to mitigate those fires. It's a great tool.
Oh, so they'll eat all the debris and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's needed.
In a brittle ecosystem, it's crucial to have livestock in it because the ruminant, their stomach, their rumen, is the only humid environment for that vegetation to break down, right? So grasses grow, and if they don't get eaten, if the nutrients don't cycle, they oxidize in the sun and just stand there forever, right? That oxidation also emits carbon into the atmosphere. So the brittle ecosystems in the West, Vegas could be included. There's stories of antelope and herbivore species all throughout these deserts in the West, like large herds. How were those large herds there, right? The Sahara used to be a grassland, right? So we're going through this process of desertification right now where the rumen of the animal and livestock are the crucial tool to bring that back, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So if we were able to cycle those dead forages, they would be removed and no longer be a fire hazard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Cali turns into a desert, that would be bad for a lot of people because you guys supply a lot of food to the country. Yeah,
for sure. We've brought some leaders in regenerative agriculture to that valley, and they said that Central Valley is the most degraded place that they've ever seen in the world. And these folks travel the world giving agricultural seminars on soil health.
Damn.
So it's bad. It's a bad situation. To the point, our water table in Fresno, if you see some photos of telephone poles, the whole land has subsided about 25 feet, from over the last 30 years.
What?
Yeah. So
it's getting
lower, the whole land. Like there's famous telephone pole photos where like, hey, here was our soil level
holy crap
in 1980. And then it's down here.
Well, there was always rumors of Cali going underwater, and I never thought the soil was dropping. I thought the water would just get hot.
Well, yeah, that's the coastline, where we have, the glaciers are melting or whatever, and we're going to have more water. So they're saying the coasts are going to rise, which I think is or isn't a problem,
I never know what to believe.
Yeah.
On the news, I never know.
Yeah. Well, that's what's cool about what you do though, is you bring the experts in and you get to talk to them. You know? You get to pick their brains. I want to be a podcaster.
You should, dude. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
With what you do too.
Yeah.
It's needed because these messages aren't on the news.
Yeah.
It comes from guys like you, like on the front lines.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great. I think we're coming into this new age of media where podcasting is getting more popular than the mainstream channels. You're seeing that with Rogan, right? And you're kind of getting up to that level where, these messages are getting out to the people that need to hear it, and it's straight from the horse's mouth, literally.
Dude, I think I'm getting, like, not to brag or anything, but like I think I'm getting more views than like CNBC.
That's awesome.
It's
man.
nuts.
That's awesome.
Like just off Instagram alone.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
man.
been a crazy month.
Yeah, that's great. How long you been doing this?
2 years.
Okay.
But yeah, times are changing. I think people just want authenticity, and you don't get that on the news anymore. So they want people like you coming on.
Yeah.
Because I'm really passionate about the truth around the food industry and these warehouses, and I believe there's an energetic component to the food you eat.
Yeah, for sure.
And people aren't taught that at all growing up.
100%.
So when you're eating shit quality meat, like that affects you.
Yeah. How old are you?
27.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm glad I found it out at a somewhat younger age.
For sure.
This stuff messes with you, man.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, we're sicker than we ever have been, right?
I can't even eat at a restaurant anymore.
I know. It's true. Yeah, you get the seed oils.
Like, where's the grass?
I know, right? Yeah.
Where
are we going to go to?
I couldn't find anywhere in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah.
Just even searching it, huh?
Grass fed. I mean, there's a couple, but like, not. It's tough.
Yeah.
So I hope
maybe we should start a steakhouse here, Sean.
We might have to. I remember when I first got seed oil scout here. Yeah. It was like one restaurant on the whole app in Vegas.
Oh boy.
That didn't use seed oils. Now there's like maybe 30, 40.
Okay. How long has that been?
Like 2 years.
Okay.
But they're growing. Shout out to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
You guys should get on there actually.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. There's a few restaurants that cook with our product. Shout out to my buddy Darren.
Well, they have a products tab now too.
Oh, okay.
On there.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I buy my raw milk on there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Are you big on raw milk?
Dude, huge.
I like it, man.
We're going to start producing it.
I can't even drink regular milk. I feel so bad. Even regular cheese now, because I'm getting more and more sensitive the healthier I get.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the one downside, I guess. Like I can't eat fast food anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
I used to eat that every day.
Yeah. Your microbiome just rejects it, right? It's like, hey, I'm a finely tuned machine. Get this junk out of there.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of cultivating that system now. We were probably used to it back when we were, I don't know about you, but I grew up on, you're 10 years younger than me, but I grew up on Cinnamon Toast Crunch and
I called that
Captain
too.
Kids.
Yeah.
So
Fruit Loops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lucky Charms was big for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And now there's glyphosate and all of them.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah. So coming back to the raw milk deal, I mean, I think grass-fed and finished regenerative beef and raw milk are just powerhouses for transforming your health. Because let's be honest, you can put that at the middle of your plate, at any meal. I mean, you got the glass of milk, it's off to the side.
Yeah.
But they're just such caloric powerhouses, nutrient density powerhouses. And yeah, I hope raw milk grows. Grass-fed and finished beef is kind of having its time in the sun. I believe it's here to stay. Once you find out about it, I mean, even vegans now, we like a bunch of our customers are vegans.
Really?
Too. Yeah. I mean, they get sick eating all the processed stuff, and then they want meat and food and sustenance that has a story.
Yeah.
And is also good for the animal, right? That's their biggest concern. That's their issue. So, you don't get any better as far as animal welfare goes with regenerative agriculture.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to be a healthy vegan right now.
Yeah.
There's guys like Brian Johnson doing it, but he's spending a ton of money. He's getting the highest quality ingredients.
Okay.
Not everyone can afford that.
Yeah. What's he eating on a daily basis?
He eats he has it all published actually. We'll link it below. I can't even describe it, but just the highest quality vegan stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to the grocery store and buying non-organic vegetables, I mean, there's chemicals on there, right? Pesticides and everything.
Yeah.
So to be a vegan is really hard these days.
I mean, I would argue that we're designed to eat animals, and to be in optimal health, you really need to have some form of animal products.
Yeah, that's where I guess the spiritual side would differ, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And genetics come into a play there too, so I'm with you. I think there's an extreme amount of connection that can come though from having a relationship with what your animals do to the land.
Oh yeah, if it's ethically sourced, that's why I like Force of Nature.
Sure,
they're pretty good too.
Yeah, yeah,
because they actually hunt their animals, right? Something like that.
Well, I believe, I don't know actually too much about them. I do know that they source a lot of their stuff from New Zealand.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was US based. Maybe I'm mixing up a brand.
They have Rome Ranch, which is their local ranch, and then they got some of their New Zealand. They talk all about it on their website.
Yeah. I know there's one brand where they ethically like hunt their own meat.
I think they do that. They have a buffalo ranch on Rome Ranch, and they'll do field harvesting.
Yeah,
there's a few brands. That's pretty cool. I mean, that's like as good as it gets in terms of animal welfare.
Exactly, because I used to be actually against hunting growing up, but now when I talk to hunters on the podcast, it's like one of the quickest and easiest ways for the animal to die. Actually,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, a good shot to the heart. You know, they're
because a lot of these animals are starving to death. They're getting hunted by other animals.
Oh, right.
They die from disease.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're kind of thinning and culling the herd and providing room for the genetic winners to grow for sure.
And they're grateful for the meat and everything. They eat the meat. So it just seems like
hunters are amazing conservationists, and you know, they do a lot for, they know a lot. You know, I went hunting in northern Nevada actually recently.
Really? What's out there?
Chukar.
Chukar.
It's a bird.
Oh, bird.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like overpopulated over there?
No, it's been a good season because the last few years have been good rain. But yeah, it's an upland bird, so you hunt them with dogs.
Really?
Yeah.
So you send the dog out to catch it?
German short-haired pointers go out and they'll point before, like, they'll smell the bird. They'll go out. They'll point. So they like get on point with their nose and they just like look and they
I've seen a video, like a cartoon of that. I didn't know that was a real thing though.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
And then you kind of sneak up on it. You're like walking on the field in these gorgeous hills in the northern Nevada. And, you know, and then when you tell them to flush, they'll flush, get them up in the air and blast away.
That's a tough shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can get up pretty close though, you know, because like they'll stay down to the very last second. And if you know where the birds are, you can kind of position yourself upwind.
Wow.
Downwind. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's a really fun time. I highly, you know, if you ever want to go up in northern Nevada. Yeah. I got a good connection.
Was it like chicken and it tastes good?
Yeah. It's like chicken.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good.
That's the go-to comparison whenever someone tries a new meat. It's like they say chicken.
I know, right? Yeah. Crocodile, snake.
What's the most exotic thing you've consumed?
Me?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Probably bull testicle.
Bull testicle.
Yeah.
That's what Liver King used to eat, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Was it raw or what? Did you cook it?
We cooked it. I've had it raw. I've taken during a branding, you know, you have a place where you heat your branding irons, you know, and there's usually like, I don't know, we use like a 50-gallon drum.
Yeah.
And so when you're castrating, you know, your bulls and turning them into steers, you know, you take some of those and put them right on top and then they pop. And when they pop, that's how you know they're ready. So I've had them straight off the fire before.
Wow.
But it's good when you cook them just with onions and garlic and butter. And my mom did a whole bunch for us on her last branding. And I mean, that's some powerful stuff.
Raises your testosterone.
It really does. Yeah. Yeah. Some of my buddies, you know, I'm like, hey, you got to come out. You know, if you got low T, get out to the branding, you know, and get out here.
I would try it.
Yeah.
I've had some interesting stuff too.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, Saladino will tell you, I think Paul Saladino, he'll tell you that you can actually test positive on a drug test for performance enhancing drugs.
No way.
Yeah, he had like some post and he said, you know, like some college kid had way too many of the bull testicle supplement that they had, and he tested positive for testosterone.
No way.
Yeah. And you feel it. Like I had, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 that day because there wasn't that many of us branding, and we branded, I don't know, maybe 200 or 300 head in that day. So you got like a whole bucket full of. I had a bunch. Yeah, I had a bunch.
Crap.
Yeah.
It's a lot of balls, man.
Yeah, yeah. Good thing, you know, my wife and I, we already had our 2 kids, you know.
Jeez.
Yeah, we probably would have made another baby then.
I like Paul's stuff a lot.
Yeah.
He actually got in some beef with Brian Johnson. I don't know if you saw that.
Brian is the
vegan guy.
Okay.
He's a guy that's trying to live forever. You've probably seen him. He's like super pale.
Okay. Yeah. I think I've heard of him.
But yeah, Brian was saying how meat's like really bad for you, but Paul stood up and it was a whole ordeal.
That's good. I saw him talk to Matt Walsh too at the Maha ball.
Yeah.
Gala ball or whatever. And because Matt Walsh is you familiar with him?
I know who he is. Is he vegan or something?
No, he's not a vegan. He's the guy that put together that documentary, What is a Woman?
Oh yeah, for Daily Wire, right?
For Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's tweeted a bunch of times about how raw milk is not right, not healthy, and we should be drinking pasteurized milk. And Paul sort of went up to him, and they filmed it at this mall. He was like, "Hey, dude, like let's talk about raw milk. Like, it's like here's the studies." And then Mal was like, "All right, dude, I'm at the ball, but like you should send me the papers. I'm open to talk about it or whatever." So hopefully they have a podcast and have
that'd be cool,
a good argument about it, because I again raw milk is one of those things. My wife and I have been drinking it now. I've been drinking it a little bit longer than her, but then we got her on it, and we've been drinking it maybe like 6 years now.
Yeah.
Our 2 kids drink it. So 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And we're really lucky in California because we got Raw Farm, who's Mark McAfee, who's the leader in raw milk in all the world. He's the largest raw milk dairy in the world. And that's one good thing about California is we're pro dairy. So we're looking forward to launching our raw milk brand here shortly, and because there's a huge demand for it. We're in 15 farmers markets in San Diego, and it's probably the number one request that we get. It's like, "Hey, we love your beef, but do you have raw milk?" And we're like, "No." So this downsizing on our lease is I think it was kind of a sign from God for us, to like, all right, let's focus on the D2C. Let's build that, and maybe move some energy over here to this raw milk deal.
I think you'll make way more off the raw milk. Because you can't buy it in grocery stores.
Yeah.
Maybe in Cali you can, right?
You can in Cali.
Okay.
But Nevada's actually, I think, the only state, there's like 2 or 3 left where it's illegal.
Yeah.
Like you can't even do like a herd share. Where like,
Sprouts has like raw kefir, but they say for dogs or something.
Yeah, okay.
Other than that, you can't buy it anywhere. Even the farmers markets here should look into setting up there because there's no raw milk.
Okay.
So I wonder if they would allow that at the Summerlin Farmers Market, which is a pretty big one.
It's a good one here. Yeah. Do you shop there?
Every weekend. I get Dubai chocolate. Have you had that yet?
No.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so good. But yeah, I love the energy at farmers markets. Even though I'm paying double the price, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Because I like supporting local businesses.
Well, it's great to actually talk to your farmer rancher too, and ask them questions about what they do.
Exactly.
And we want to come out with like some a template on what questions to ask, because there can be a little bit of greenwashing and lying, at the farmers markets, because they're like, "Oh yeah, we're organic, but we just we don't pay for the certification, or we don't use pesticides."
Right. They all say that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, tell me, hey, what's your soil health management plan? How are you building soil, right? And if they don't have a good plan for that or don't have a good answer, then it's I don't know. Like I think just as a species, we have to get more educated around food. We don't really go too deep. And
if they had a regenerative label at their stand, I would love that.
Yeah,
Seed Oil Scout's doing that now on food labels.
Oh, okay.
So they just partnered with Costco, I think. And they're going to start doing that on food labels.
That's awesome.
There's so many ingredients, people don't know what to look for.
For sure.
I mean, they keep renaming stuff too.
Yeah,
I just
100%.
renamed all the food dyes, so you got to look for the new name on that.
Okay.
It's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Dodging landmines when you're at the grocery store.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so cool. I mean, technology, I think, is so great for stuff like that, for the transparency. And I think that's the key, really, is the transparency. Like just opening up. We do farm tours and ranch tours. We sold out in 2023, I think 12 farm and ranch tours, and we had about 50 people. We're lucky, we're blessed because we're in California. So you could fall out of bed and sell beef to 20 million people. But when they're craving for experiences like that and connection, and that's what we're really trying to do at Perennial Pastures, is build that connection. Our mission is enriching life by restoring connections, healing land, and nourishing people. And so there's a spiritual element to that too, right? And so getting those folks out to see the soil, to kick the dirt, to see the animal, to see the relationship between the rancher, the horse, the movement of the cattle. It's kind of like a symphony of life out there on the ranch. And when people see it, some people that have come to the ranch have never even seen a cow in their life. And when they see the cow, and they see much less 200 or 300 in a herd all mobbed together, it's kind of like a profound experience for them.
No,
and you have a customer for life as long as you have a good product, to sell. So
yeah, it's a beautiful experience. I've been to a couple cow farms, and they're just so pure. Right?
Yeah. You got some good ones here in Nevada, Northern Nevada. Actually, you got some great cowboys here too. This is this is buckaroo country here.
Interesting. I got to get up there to Reno. I've never been up there.
Yeah. You got to get to Reno. North of that, and Winnemucca is big cowboy country too. All the way up to Elko up there. So the buckaroo is kind of a version of the vaquero, which was the California cowboy.
Yeah.
So the Spanish came up through Mexico, settled California, trained the indigenous folks on horsemanship. The vaquero horse tradition, this natural horsemanship tradition, was a melding of the local natives and the Spanish. And then that kind of went through its cycle. And then the white settlers kept coming west, and they developed kind of their own culture here in Nevada, and they anglicized the word vaquero to mean buckaroo, or they just kind of changed the pronunciation. So it actually comes from California, that tradition, and the tradition is like working with the horse, working with the cow. We use long ropes. It's all very low stress livestock handling, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's about. When you have low stress with the animal, when you're kind of at a point of center and you're one with the horse, like the cow can feel that, right? And it's a big part about producing beef too, because you don't want a cow that's high stress. If you're pushing it too hard, if you're shocking it with a cattle prod, that's going to show up in the meat flavor, right? 100%. If you got this super tranquilo, cow that's just relaxed, it's like, hey, this guy comes, he moves me to fresh pasture, every day. Good things happen every time I see this person. Yeah. He's just gonna, his last day is gonna be, they have one bad day, is what we like to say, and I, to be honest, I wouldn't mind coming back as a cow on one of these regenerative. You just chill and eat grass. And, yeah.
Is that why Wagyu tastes so good? They're so like carefree.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Wagyu tastes so good because they feed them a lot. So, and that's why it's so expensive. It's a confined feeding deal too. And I know that's a big trend right now is a Wagyu beef, but when you look at the nutrient density side of that, it's not too good of a picture.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's really fatty.
Very inflammatory. Yeah.
Holy
it's like
crap.
a diabetic obese cow that's just got like very unhealthy fat. And that comes back to the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, kind of optimal for human beings is 3-to-1. So 3 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. Some of that Wagyu beef is testing, north of 18 to 20 omega-6.
Holy.
So it's very inflammatory to the system.
Wow.
And it's not natural, again, to like confine an animal and feed it. Now in Japan, they do it great. They have these artisan, confined feeding things, and they do the massage
A5.
and the this and that and the A5. But it's still not healthy. It tastes great, don't get me wrong. I do like the taste of a grain-finished animal, but I believe that we can get the genetics and the finishing down on the grass-fed side of things to equal the eating quality of grain-finished.
That'd be amazing.
And that's where we're headed with our genetics. But it takes a while to build a supply chain, especially when a supply chain has been built for grain finishing, right?
Yeah.
We used to have these smaller framed, medium framed animals that were made to finish on pasture. They just finished easier on pasture. Now we have these mega cows that put on tons of weight in the feedlot because that's how the feedlot gets paid. They get paid per pound of weight gain.
Right.
So they want these ranchers producing these heavy framed animals because they get paid more on the rate of gain, right? Which that's bad for the rancher because these larger framed animals aren't as efficient and you can carry less of those animals on the land. If you have smaller, more medium framed animals, you can carry more of those animals on the land, and that's more profitable for the rancher. But it also comes through, if you're direct marketing that meat, it finishes better on grass purely, right?
Yeah.
These larger framed animals need that extra energy, need that feedlot to finish properly. So it's our goal, again, at Perennial Pastures to develop something like that, that finishes well. We're on our way. We're working with all of our partner ranches and our ranch as well to come up with this genetic hybrid, and when I say that, it's not like a bad word like a GMO or anything. It's just we're using different bulls from different places, and we follow Johann Zietzmann's breeding philosophy, this guy from Africa who's really revolutionized the cattle industry. And he mixes kind of these American breeds with actually some African breeds, and they come together. All these cattle in Africa, they survive the tsetse fly, lions, hyenas. They're super adapted, right?
Yeah.
We kind of got these soft cows in America, these Angus that just, have these nice
black and white
pastures.
ones.
Yeah. That's the Holstein ones. There's black and white. The Angus mixed with the Hereford cows has black baldy. Those can be black and white. They have white faces.
Yeah. And the brown ones I've seen.
Yeah, there's brown ones. There's all sorts of different colors, but Angus for some reason has just become the main popular cow in the States because, it finishes well in a feedlot. But it's not, if you think about it, where Angus originally came from is Aberdeen, Scotland. There's a lot of areas in the U.S. I'd argue that are much different than Aberdeen, Scotland. Super temperate, wet, cold environment. You put that cow from Aberdeen right here in Las Vegas, and it's gonna have a tough time. Like earning its living on a ranch here in Nevada. So we're trying to build these composite breeds that finish well and have just as good a eating quality and more nutrient density straight off the grass.
I love it.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a slaughterhouse? I've had a guest come on here and talk about her.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, for sure. A ton of them. We work with about 4 right now across the country as we build this supply chain. And
what was that like, seeing the inside of that?
I've been to a few. I've been to some that are better than others. We only work with really top quality operations that really take animal welfare into account. The one I'll tell you about is run by a good friend of mine, Eric Brandt, down in the Imperial Valley. And he does a great job. It's called One World Beef. And they had this gal, Temple Grandin. Have you heard that name?
No.
Okay. She might be an interesting interview too. She's still around. She's later in her years, but she's the guru of low stress livestock handling.
Oh, nice.
She actually has autism and she's high functioning Asperger's. I believe that's how you say it, right?
Yeah.
And she kind of was raised on a ranch and just found out, some ways of handling cows because she's extra sensitive to sort of light and feeling and kind of touch. She found out a way to develop a whole method for making sure that the cow's comfortable in these facilities.
Really?
Yeah. She actually built herself. There's some really good documentaries on her because she would have these episodes. She went to college, right? And highly trained professor, doctor. And she would have tough times sometimes in college. She'd have these episodes. She built herself a cattle chute, right? Because observing cows on this ranch in Arizona, we actually know the ranch. She grew up, Boot and Racket Ranch in Sonoyta, Arizona. I've been to it. She observed these cows in these certain chutes. When they would get their head stuck in them, they would rattle around and, they'd be very, agitated. Well, she found out that when you squeeze the sides of them, they totally chilled, right? So she was kind of the one that came up with the cradling of the cow, and when they're nice and tight, they totally chill and they relax.
Oh, wow.
So she built herself a chute.
Holy crap.
College, because she wanted to feel the same feeling, right? She's like, hey, I'm kind of, I'm in tune with these cows. And so she built herself a homemade deal. And that's how she kind of got through a lot of her early, stage, but it's all in the documentary. And so this facility we use in Imperial Valley in Southern California, that was designed by Temple Grandin, and it's all about the, until the very last moment, they have misters because it's kind of in the desert. They got misters for the cows. They got rubber floors for the cows when they first come out. All the lanes are designed in a way that are curved because cows like curves rather than straight lines. They don't use any cattle prods. So the cattle prod,
those
the electrocution to be able to move them up, no cattle prods. And you have to sign an affidavit. Even the truckers that truck into there have to sign an affidavit that says, I won't use, and we exclusively say that with all of our truckers, don't use this, don't use that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So occasionally you'll get one animal that's the really stubborn, and no matter what you do, and it's holding up your operation, you give them one little shock to get them going. They're massive animals. It doesn't really hurt them, but continuous shocking really, raises the cortisol levels, drops the glycogen levels. Glycogen is what you want at a high frame, at a high level before you slaughter. That's what's going to create your tenderness, your flavor. Yeah.
I've seen documentaries on how smart pigs are.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
No.
So apparently they're really smart.
Super smart. And what's the name of the documentary?
I forget. Well, I'll find it and link it in the video. But just ethically, seeing them at slaughterhouses, I don't know. So I know some of it's programming too. They're trying.
Well, pigs are the pig deal is terrible. To be honest, how we produce it, and kind of who owns. China just bought Smithfield, and the pig and chicken deal is 10 times worse than the beef side. At least we have a ton of independent American ranchers still, running their own operations. A lot of these chicken and pig producer contracts, they're almost like indentured servitude to produce for Tyson and Smithfield and all these, confined feeding operations. And yeah, they're terrible. They never see outside.
Yeah.
So coming back to the spiritual point, right? You've had Zach Bush on here. I think he talks about this. Like if you've had a confined chicken, sometimes like you feel different afterwards. And I think he's got descriptions of women having a chicken salad at lunch and all of a sudden afterwards they get an anxiety attack.
Holy crap.
Yeah, because that's all that chicken knew, right? And its whole life was a confined deal, right? They lived in a cage its whole, so imagine eating that energy, right? I mean,
I know. I used to eat bacon every morning. I can't eat bacon anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's like the highest quality.
There are good pastured pig operations. It's really hard to find a regenerative one though, because pigs can be pretty tough on pasture.
They eat everything, right?
Yeah, and they root and they like till the ground with their noses, and that's a big kind of no-no in regenerative agriculture. We don't till the soil,
right?
Because that oxidizes the organic matter, and
I didn't know they did that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. They're pretty smart. Like people think they're smarter than dogs.
Yeah, they're super smart. I love pigs. We want to start a pig operation on our place. My wife and I had the blessing of going to Spain, and they have this special pig out there.
Iberico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it at a restaurant here.
Yeah.
Jose Andres restaurant, I think. Or something.
Yeah. And he was a guy that did some Anthony Bourdain, a lot of stuff with him, right? Yeah, so they have this region in Spain called the Dehesa, and it's all oak savanna, kind of grasslands. They do till underneath there, but we went actually to the Jamón Iberico. I dragged her to the Jamón Iberico Museum. We're the only ones there. They had to turn the lights on for us.
Wow.
And that was part of our vacation.
No one was.
She's used to this
museum.
What's that?
No one went there.
Well, it's in a small village like north of Sevilla, about an hour, And like I specifically searched it out. I was like, babe, I want to learn about Jamón Iberico,
Yeah.
So we go to this small museum, and it was awesome. I mean, they tell you about the whole process and all the aging, how they're finished on acorns and all that.
Nice.
And and so I think that could be a product. It's very hard to pull off, like I said, though, in a regenerative manner. You have to constantly move the pigs. And in nature, that's what pigs would do. They would just go from one area to the next, So in a pastured situation, you just got to be really on top of your fencing and move them a lot. So you can find those operators, but like you would have to order, Sean, from like somebody like Joel Soliton from, Swoop, Virginia. There's like, I don't know. There's like 5 to 10, good regenerative pig producers that I could name.
I saw Joel's farm on a video.
Oh, cool.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, he just did this new documentary like Angels Acres or something like.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he's got a ton of documentaries out there.
Yeah, he's doing some God's work right there.
Oh yeah. He's one of the pioneers, and guys like me, the next generation, we're standing on, his shoulders, Alan Savory's shoulders, Will Harris. Both Will and Joel were on Joe's podcast, which I think has really risen the awareness around regenerative agriculture.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hope Big Food doesn't buy him out, because that's what happens with these ranches, right?
Yeah. I think the beauty of both of those operations is the next generation loves what the whole operation is about. Joel's got his son Daniel, who's going to take over. I think he's my age, maybe a little bit older. And then Will has his daughter Jenny, and she's awesome too.
Nice.
So like Will's farm, he's 5th generation. I think Joel's 3rd or 4th. So when you make it fun and you're profitable and you're producing a product for customers that rave about you, what's not to like? Like I think there's no better life in this world than the life of a regenerative farmer that's doing amazing work.
I agree. You're in touch with nature. You're eating great food.
Yeah.
Making a living for your family. It's like a win-win across the board.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I actually want to get a ranch when I'm older, like on the side.
Cool.
I like how Ty Lopez lives in 3 spots a year.
Oh yeah, that's great.
One
Let's
of them's
do it,
off
man.
grid. One of them's in a city, and then one in a suburb.
There you go. Perfect.
You could balance like the business. Off the grid.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I have been talking about that because we live on 5 acres in between 2 of our leases, right? So that's kind of our like suburban, kind of like homestead spot.
Yeah.
But definitely want a big ranch, someday, and then maybe like a beach house would be awesome. So,
that's the way to do it, man.
Yeah, but hopefully regenerative keeps building, and taking off, and that's what we need. I think if we have regenerative ranchers, being successful, on the land, profitable. I think that's what it's gonna take to like move this behemoth that is our food system. We're driving down the road here in Vegas and just seeing kind of all the strip malls. And I was joking to my wife Dina about we were driving through Chinatown on the way to your house.
Oh yeah, yeah, I live right by.
Yeah. And I was like, what are the odds, babe, that there's any seed oil free,
not in China.
spots in Chinatown?
I eat there, I feel like shit for a week.
I was like, we'll know we've made it when Chinatown is cooking with tallow. Like all the restaurants are cooking with some sort of tallow or lard.
Yeah.
That's when we'll have made it.
Well, it's starting. Steak and Shake.
Okay, cool.
Just announced they're using tallow.
That's great. For their fries?
Yeah.
Nice.
Fries, which is
That's
the first,
awesome.
I believe the first fast food to make that change.
Yeah.
Now you got Chipotle announcing they're going to get away from seed oils.
That's great.
Which is huge. I see Chipotle every day.
For sure, me too.
They use seed oils.
Yeah. I mean, in college, I played baseball and that was like our protein stop.
Same. Yeah, I was a distance runner.
Oh, nice.
$10, you could get 1,000 calories.
That's cool.
Pretty good deal.
What was your event?
Mile.
Okay.
800.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Did you ever run?
No, my mom did. She was track and field for UCLA.
Nice.
Yeah. She was like Iron Man kind of.
Dang.
Yeah.
She's a beast.
I come from a family of athletes. My brother played professional baseball for the New York Mets.
Wow.
My dad played football for Notre Dame.
Let's go.
Montana.
That's my favorite school.
Nice.
Notre Dame.
Really?
I'm half
Irish, baby.
Yeah.
You are? Sweet.
Yeah.
I figured Sean Kelly.
Super Irish.
I'm Kevin Patrick, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, my cousin's named Patrick. I've been to Ireland. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
A
beautiful.
lot of farms out there.
Let's have a dairy farm in Ireland. That's what
It
we
would
could
do well. It rains a lot there, man.
does.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
It's great. It's great. It's so mild there too. Dean and I have been there as well, and it's super mild and it's a great grass growing environment. I mean, like anywhere, like Ireland or the UK is like amazing grass growing environment.
Yeah.
I know a guy in the UK. He's got a mobile dairy operation. He's milking 400 cows in a mobile situation, moving them around, not like with because most dairies have these like sedentary milking parlors where the cows have to go back to every day.
Yeah.
This guy's got a mobile operation, so he's able to do the high density rotational grazing.
Wow.
Yeah, with a mobile milking thing. So he's got
awesome.
2.5 full-time equivalents milkers, and he's got an extremely profitable operation right there out of London. So
Dude, that's
we were
awesome.
talking recently because that's the next step for us with our because we're going to start a 40 cow dairy this year. And the next step would obviously to 10x it and to do 400. So he's got this specific parlor that he's designed. That's a double herringbone, and it's an awesome system. So
that's beautiful. It probably helps keep the cows not stressed out too if they're not forced to be somewhere to milk.
For sure. Yeah, the milk will go up because they have to walk a lot less. They can just hang out right in the pasture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much milk can you get out of a cow? I'm curious.
It depends. I mean, certainly these big Holsteins that are in these massive confined dairies, I think upwards of 8
gallons?
8 gallons a day.
What?
Yeah.
They're releasing that much?
Yeah. But when you milk them that hard and for that young, and it's all about production, they only produce 2 to 3 years of their life, and then they really start slowing down. And then they turn them into meat. So like all the In-N-Out burger, that I'm sure you've had.
I love In-N-Out.
Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure.
I love it.
I know, like I'm all about regen and but like I just
they're using those cows that are.
I wish they were. Hopefully they go to but they're using the dairy cow. Yeah.
So those are cows that no longer can even produce milk.
Yeah,
old,
they just grind them up. Yeah.
Oh, I love In-N-Out.
Yeah, but it's all right. I mean, you're not, like you got to have some.
I eat it like
pleasure.
once a month. It's so fast.
I'm with you. Yeah.
My other guilty pleasure is this all-you-can-eat A5 Wagyu spot.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like $100 all you can eat.
Okay, dang.
But last time I almost threw up. Everyone else threw up I was with. We went way too hard.
Yeah.
Like
if you eat too much of that, it's like so rich.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, yeah. And it's just so rich, and your body's not used to that level of richness. I mean, you can really, it's like your microbiome gets used to eating all this clean, great food, and the bacteria and everything and fungi that's in your gut is just like, hey, keep giving me that. And then when you switch it up so hard.
That's why traveling's tough for me.
Yeah.
When I travel, especially to other countries, but even within the US, I like eat something and I feel it immediately.
Totally. Yeah.
Because of the gut microbiome's different.
When did you go to Ireland?
I went 5, 6, maybe 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I rained the whole time I was
Yeah. You go to Dublin? obviously. Yeah. And then where else?
Dublin, and we went to like random villages that had like 100 people living there.
Nice.
They had 5 bars.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's the best part about Ireland, and I think we need some of that in our culture, is like the pub culture. Like we've lost this like local village, you know, and I think you're starting to kind of see it come back in the food system where like you're connected and then there's these meeting spots. But like that whole pub culture where you have these super low alcoholic, you know, Guinnesses and Murphys, you know, 3% ABV, you know, and you're just there really for the conversation with your friends. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's a huge part, you know. That's what I love what you're doing too, is you're bringing an awareness, I think, to not only the health side of things, but the spiritual side as well.
Both.
Because my wife's a clinical psychologist, and, you know, that's what we're doing. Like I'm healing the land and she's healing the mind.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So like we're like this power couple, you know, and it's needed, right? Because you can't have one without the other. Like you can't be anxiety free if you're eating like crap.
Right.
You know?
I've never seen that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one can pull that off, I think.
Yeah.
It just messes with your body.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so I think, you know, it's important to have that connection to there's something about the food connection that's great for the brain, where I mean that's what mental illnesses are, right? They're isolation sort of illnesses, right? That you get so caught up in your mind pattern and your thoughts, and you just think you're all on it on your own. Well, in reality, you're connected to this larger organism and this larger being, you know, and you have a role to play in the stewardship of that. And when you have that realization, it just, I don't know, it brings forth this abundance, this relaxation, this like, okay, I'm part of a larger whole,
right?
Which is so important, I think, for mental health, just to realize, you know, whether you do meditation or whether you pray or whatever you do, it's all about, you know, like we're all part of this oneness in the world. You know, we're all trying to inch it and make it better and enhance the vibration and all that. So I don't know. I think it's a cool, you know, both of those fields are dealing with complexity too. Like the mind is so complex and nature's so complex.
Yeah.
So managing both of those things, it's really interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
We're just scratching the surface on it. We know a little about the brain. It's crazy.
Yeah. Do you meditate?
Depends on your definition. Not like your traditional meditation where I close my eyes and like hum for 15 minutes.
Right.
I had practices.
Yeah. Did you do anything like pre-events or anything when you were competing as track and field?
No, I wish I knew what I knew now, especially about nutrition. Oh my God. I probably would have been a professional athlete.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I knew what I knew now.
Oh, I bet.
I was eating the shittiest food.
Oh, yeah.
And I was still really good.
Muscle milk.
Yeah, muscle milk.
Yeah. They were pushing on that as hard in college.
Yeah, Lunchables.
Oh, yeah.
French fries. Like unhealthy stuff. And I was still running a 440 mile, eating like shit.
That's awesome.
So if I ate amazing and I had the mindset stuff I have now,
for sure,
I could have ran a 4-minute mile.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like pretty world class, right? If you're under sub.
Well, back in the day it was, now it's a lot of people have done it, but it's still impressive.
Yeah. That's awesome.
4-minute.
Yeah. You got a good frame for running.
Yeah. I got the length.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's been cool. Where can people find out more about you and Perennial Pastures?
Perennial Pastures Ranch is our website. That's the main deal. You can follow us on social. We're on Instagram too, Perennial Pastures Ranch, and we're on X as well, Regen Ranching on X. So yeah, give us a try. We got a Regen sampler box going right now, which is $79. Good entry point. We send you a steak and a roast and a piece of ground beef. And it's a good entry point. You know, if you're not used to beef in bulk or you're not ready for that yet, just give it a try. And then hopefully, you know, you migrate to that. That's where we'd like everybody to be, is just have a freezer at home and, you know that you got all this sustenance for your family and don't have to go to the grocery store. You know, every week you can just pull a steak out of the freezer. But if you're not ready for that, we got all sorts of great boxes and stuff.
It's been saving me so much time, man. I literally bought a freezer just for the cow.
That's
and
awesome.
I haven't been to the grocery store since. I used to go like twice a week.
Yeah, for sure.
So it saves you a lot of money up front and then also money with the time you're spending.
Yeah. We got that free freezer deal going too. So if you don't have a freezer, we could ship you a freezer anywhere in the country.
Oh, wow.
So if that's an impediment to you getting, you know, some sustenance and nourishment for your family, then we can take care of that for you.
Smart.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks for coming on. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Check them out, guys. I'll see you next time.